The African sun was fierce, casting long shadows across the vast savanna. Life in the small village of Mwanga was slow, marked by the rhythm of nature and the traditions that had been passed down for generations. Beneath the towering baobab tree, villagers often gathered to share stories. But there were some stories that remained hidden, whispered only to the winds. Nia was the wife of Kofi, the village blacksmith. Kofi was strong and reliable, a man respected by everyone for his craftsmanship and wisdom. They had been married for 15 years, their union arranged by their families when Nia was just 16. Kofi had always treated her with kindness, but their relationship lacked the spark of passion. Life with him was predictable, safe, and steady, but sometimes Nia longed for something more. It was during the dry season that a stranger arrived in Mwanga. His name was Dumi, a trader who traveled between villages with a caravan of goods. Dumi was different from anyone Nia had ever met. He was charming, with a ready smile and a voice that seemed to hold the promise of adventure. His stories of far-off places and bustling markets captured Nia's imagination in a way she hadn't felt since she was a girl. One afternoon, as Nia fetched water from the river, she saw Dumi sitting on a rock, repairing one of his leather bags. He looked up and greeted her warmly. "You must be Nia," he said. "Kofi speaks highly of you." Nia smiled, unsure why her heart fluttered at his words. "You know my husband?" she asked. "We've traded a few times," Dumi replied. "He's a skilled man. And you?" He paused, his gaze lingering on her face. "You're as kind as I've heard." Their conversation was brief, but it left Nia feeling lightheaded. She told herself it was nothing, just the charm of a friendly stranger. But as the days passed, she found herself seeking reasons to visit the market where Dumi's caravan was stationed. Their encounters became more frequent. Dumi would tell her stories of the world beyond Mwanga, his words painting vivid pictures of bustling cities and distant lands. Nia felt drawn to him, his energy a stark contrast to the quiet predictability of her life. Dumi, too, seemed captivated by her, often finding excuses to linger when she was near. One evening, as the village prepared for a harvest celebration, Nia found herself alone near the baobab tree. The sun was setting, bathing the land in a golden glow. Dumi approached her, his smile soft and inviting. "You look beautiful in this light," he said, his voice low. Nia's cheeks flushed. "You shouldn't say such things," she whispered, though her heart raced at his words. "Why not?" Dumi asked, stepping closer. "It's the truth." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. Nia knew she should walk away, return to the safety of her home and her husband. But instead, she stayed, her heart and body betraying the life she had always known. That night marked the beginning of their affair. It was reckless and exhilarating, filled with secret meetings under the cover of darkness. They met by the river, in the shadows of the baobab, and once, daringly, in a small hut near the edge of the village. Dumi awakened a passion in Nia she had never known, making her feel alive in ways she couldn't explain. But the affair was not without its consequences. Nia's guilt grew with each passing day, her actions weighing heavily on her soul. Kofi remained unaware, his trust in her unshaken. He continued to work tirelessly, crafting tools and weapons for the villagers, never suspecting the betrayal that unfolded behind his back. One afternoon, as Nia helped prepare food for a village gathering, an elder woman named Adama approached her. Adama was wise and observant, her eyes sharp despite her years. "Nia," she said, her voice gentle but firm, "your heart is troubled. I see it in your eyes. Is there something you wish to share?" Nia's hands trembled, but she shook her head. "No, Adama. Everything is fine." Adama studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Be careful, child. Secrets have a way of revealing themselves." Nia's stomach churned. She knew Adama's words were a warning, but she couldn't bring herself to end her relationship with Dumi. The thought of losing him was unbearable. As the dry season ended and the rains began, Dumi's time in Mwanga drew to a close. He told Nia he would be leaving soon, heading to another village with his caravan. The news devastated her. "Come with me," he said one evening, his eyes pleading. "We can start a new life together, far away from here." Nia hesitated. The idea was tempting, but the thought of abandoning her husband, her home, and everything she had ever known filled her with fear. "I can't," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I can't leave it all behind." Dumi took her hands in his expression filled with sadness. "I understand," he said, "but know this, Nia. You've changed my life. I'll never forget you." When Dumi's caravan left the village, Nia watched from a distance, her heart breaking. The days that followed were filled with a deep sadness, her world feeling emptier without him. She tried to focus on her duties, to rebuild the connection with Kofi, but the memories of her time with Dumi lingered. Months later, as the village prepared for another harvest, Nia stood beneath the baobab tree, her thoughts heavy. Adama approached her once more, her gaze knowing. "You've been through much, child," she said, "but life goes on. The choices we make shape us, but they do not define us." Nia nodded, tears in her eyes. She knew she couldn't change the past, but she could choose how to move forward. With time, she hoped to find peace, to heal the wounds she had caused and the ones she carried within herself. The baobab tree stood tall, a silent witness to the secrets and sorrows of Mwanga. And as the years passed, Nia's story became one of resilience, a reminder that even in the shadow of mistakes, there is always the possibility of redemption.